So in this one, we're going to have a look at the faction of Nomads. Again, I'm joined by Carlos and Gautier from Corvus Belli, creators of Infinity. So, space nomads, or as Daryl likes to call them, the wandering space gypsies. This is a faction that basically lives outside of Aleph. These guys don't have a planet. They have a number of, I don't know, fleets, I suppose, of ships. Again, like all the others, you can play it as a Nomads, generic Nomads faction, or you could play the sectorial armies that they have. And they have two. They have the Corregidor, which I believe are on a ship which used to be a prison, like a prison ship. Gautier, do you want to tell us a bit about the Corregidor?
Well, Corregidor was created to be a prison for the South American nations to have the most dangerous criminals and those narcos in there. But later, when the space elevators of the Earth were building, that provokes a lot of massive waves of refugees who have nowhere to be placed. So they were translated to Corregidor. And then those African nations, those South American nations, forget them. And the people from Corregidor have to find themselves to survive. And then they become the hard workers of the zero gravity and the EVA, the extravehicular activity. They start to work like workers in space. But they were one of the most dangerous criminals in Earth, so they start to work like workers, but too like mercenaries.
Yeah, so you basically, these prisoners have created a community of some sort. From what I can read, the Corregidor are the ones, they know how to build stuff and they know how to destroy stuff. So if it can be built, they can build it. If it can be destroyed, they can destroy it.
And they can do both and gain money doing it.
In space. So Nomads have decided to live outside of Aleph. So Aleph is the artificial intelligence faction. They distrust Aleph a lot. They don't buy this business of Aleph saying, we're your friends. They don't buy that at all. So they've actually set up their own external hidden data network. But it's actually become quite an asset for them because it's kind of turned them into the Swiss bank of data, in that corporations, governments, anybody who wants to store anything outside the influence of Aleph, well, they have to work with the Nomads to do that. Tactically, Carlos, well, what are the tactical strengths and weaknesses of the Nomads?
Okay, Nomads as an army are a very pretty standard army, but once you get deep into the troop profiles, you realize that they have very, very useful and effective troops, mostly among the medium infantries, because they have troops like the Reverend Moiras and the Siniter Observants and the Intruders from Corregidor that behaves very well, mostly as defensive troops.
Yes.
Very valuable as defensive troops. And when you realize the combination of troops that you can have in the field, you realize that they can control between their synergies between troops. They can really control parts of the table.
So it's not individual troops that necessarily stand out, it's the combination of troops and that synergy, as you say, Carlos, that they gain.
A wise combination by a skillful player that have depth into the troop profiles of the Nomads can, field a hacker and then extend the influence of the hacker in the table using some devices. And that makes zones where the robots or some high-tech troopers shouldn't get into because they can be immobilized by the hacker.
In fact, their hackers are so good, not only could they immobilize the likes of a tag, they can also actually have it turn on its own faction.
Yeah, well, mostly hackers can do that, but it's very difficult to achieve that. But some Nomad characters and special hackers have a very high willpower, and that is the value that you use for immobilization or persuasion attack.
Yeah.
There has, talking about synergies, they also have one special combo between troops that requires to field an interventor and a meteor zone, and also vertigo zone, which are these kind of remotes. And you can really make use guided missiles, in the battleground, and that is one thing named as the dirty the dirty nomad combo.
Yes.
And it works very well against any kind of troops because it's very powerful.
We'll see if we can actually publish that dirty nomad combo in the show notes. One of the interesting things that I'd read was that Panoceana had developed some tags that were malfunctioning, that they weren't designed right, so they sold them cheap to the Nomads, and the Nomads not only fixed them but actually improved upon them as well. So a Panoceana faction could find that it would be fighting its own tags, basically. They have another faction other than the Corregidor. They're the more of the fashionistas. Gautier, what are they called, and can you tell us a bit more about them?
The other ship of the Nomads is Bakunin. Bakunin is composed by all those people who not those who feel different to others, those who are different to others. You can find different religions, ideas, different fashion. In Bakunin, everything is strange, everything is odd. But from Bakunin come the most original ideas, the best music, the most interesting artists, the most tasty drugs. Bakunin offers everything you cannot find inside the human sphere, and that's very attractive. That's one of the most interesting points of Bakunin. But also, Bakunin has an area called Praxis, where are black laboratories. In black laboratories, where scientists tries to be beyond the limits of the science, and not only the limits of the science, beyond the morality. They try to make strange experiments and always find cutting-edge technology.
Yeah. I would imagine then that there's quite a bit of a synergy between the Haq Islam and the Nomads in that kind of search for scientific kind of advances. One of the key things that I've loved about the Corregidor, and I'll have to read this for you. There's two really interesting things. The first are called the crazy koalas. I'll try and get you a picture of these crazy koalas. It's these little guys here. Now they are running, jumping Klingon mines.
Yeah.
These little things will just come running at you, jump up, hold on to you, and then explode.
Yeah. They're carrying like a title with that you can read: "Free explosive hacks."
Tactically, how would you use them, and can your opponent stop laughing long enough to deal with them?
Tactically, they're very, very, very useful, and because they behave like mines, but they have a lot of power as a dissuasive troop, because your enemy won't enter in that zone with their weakest miniatures, because going there is just because of the presence of those troops is not a wise idea. So that really closes that path, that route in the table. Then I will go here, and then you can have there another super hidden deployment thing expecting for that. So closing zones in the battlefield, you can really develop really clever tactics with that.
So I would imagine in Infinity there's nobody better at defensive play than the Nomads.
Well, people really develop very good tactics with them, and really find the good synergies between troops. And with good shooters as reactive troops, with good skirmishers that controls the zone, and with good surprises and combos, you really can develop a very good and effective game.
Well, to close off, I want to read just a part of this. It's called The Toast to Corregidor, and this is a super piece of writing. I'll just read one tiny bit at the end. I look like a soldier, behave like an astronaut, speak like a worker, but I'm 1,000 times better than any of them. My brothers and I stole the trumpets of the heralds of the apocalypse, and since then we keep the armies of the nomad nation at bay. I'm a warrior, a cosmonaut, I'm an operative, but always a citizen of Corregidor, blessed by Lucifer in all things. I am the executioner's hand of the nomad nation. Remember that when you wake up in hell, because I'm the guy who's going to finish your miserable life. I'm going to finish this miserable video by telling you to have a look in the show notes to find some more interesting links about the Nomads. If you're interested in an army that is going to be very unique, very different, lots of different elements of kind of defensive play with hacking and stuff like that, this could be the way to go. Other than that, stay tuned as we continue our look at the factions of Infinity.